So next staff. First off, any questions about Silicon Valley? It's a big topic. We can have dinner. We have dinner, so we can talk about that as well. Any burning questions?
Why do you need a bank?
You got to put your money somewhere. You put it in a couch.
Why like a new one? Like
Yeah, because if someone writes a check, you got to put it somewhere, right? And it needs to be a new bank account. And like the difference between, and one of the things is, some banks are like, great, like we're going to charge $100 in fees each week. And it's like, we raised money from Sequoia. The next week, our first salesperson, Mercy, I was having her clip $3 coupons. As a founder, every dollar counts. Sometimes you're penny wise, pound foolish, and you got to learn. But I'm still to this day, I'm like, how do we save $5? I waited, literally, there was a flight, and if I changed the flight at 6 p.m., I'd pay $200. If I changed it at 1 a.m., I was charged $75. I stayed up to 1 a.m., Oh, yeah, I think, you start with lawyer and bank, and then kind of year 3, 4. Or month 9, excuse me. It's like that first year, you got to do your taxes, get some help. Any other questions? The family, where's Balthazar, or Lou, like, what's typical? Good question. Post it on the meetup group. Let's see if anyone responds. That's one of the things when I was a venture capitalist. Like, venture capitalists can be really helpful in increasing the velocity of this stuff. So that's one of the great things a VC can do. That's kind of a layup for them because they work with 30 companies. First, I only worked with 1. Cool. All right, let's keep it rolling. All right, unique advantages. Come on, clicker. All right, biggest advantage. One word. Who knows it? Shout it. Don't be bashful. Nailed it. You read the slides before? So talent in many cities. This is really hard in Silicon Valley. I mean, part of the reason we raised $60 million for Kahuna was we were doing big data, machine learning, AI. These people are not cheap. And they're deserving, but they're expensive. It's exciting that I was talking with Roger Ehrenberg at IA Capital Advisors, great VC based in New York. He's like, hey, there is some artificial intelligence expertise coming out of the UK, Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial College. That's exciting. I'll ask actually another question. Who here knows what's one of the hottest, it's kind of not fair, one of the hottest tech companies or tech cities in the US right now? It's not on either of the coasts. Anyone? Was it Minneapolis? Good one? Kansas? Nope. Pittsburgh. Why Pittsburgh? Carnegie Mellon autonomous driving expertise. Uber just opened. Google just opened. If I were geography ambivalent, I'd move to Pittsburgh, or in the U.S. because it's going to be. It's growing like a weed. So in the same way, we're going to have centers of excellence here, and there's a real opportunity. So my current company, VoiceLabs.co, does voice analytics for Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant, and soon Microsoft Cortana and IBM Watson. I was at a meetup last night for voice developers. There was a ton of people there. It's one of the most vibrant meetup groups in the world for voice. So I'm excited for hopefully Berlin to be a center of excellence for voice, and I get to come back. It's fun. So Roger, credit to him for talking through this with me. And he also is on the board of Cognitive Logic, based in the UK. Cool data machine learning company. Second biggest advantage, many markets close by. Now, this is a blessing and a curse, right? And it's one of those things where I'm not going to say, hey, Europe's utopia. It's really nice to be in the US, and there's a massive market, in a 5-mile radius in Silicon Valley. Our first 20 customers, most of them were drivable. Actually, that's not true. My 7th customer was Booking.com. The reward I got for that was a standing Monday morning 5:30 a.m. call. So I don't recommend it. People are talking about like, hey, my first 5 customers, should I get someone from the US? Like, only if you don't like sleeping. It's like, look local for your first 5 customers because you're going to have to work with them and you're going to have to be available. And it's not fun to do 5 a.m. Skypes. That's not, no one honestly says that's fun. And now this is company 3, sleep matters. You make bad decisions when you're tired. Lou saw we have this. The family has this great apartment, and we're scaling voice labs. So at 2:30 a.m., I was on this call, and thank goodness for my co-founder Alex. Where it's like, Adam, you don't have to talk anymore. I know you can't think, so just listen. And by 3 a.m., I got to go to bed, and you're just not making good decisions at 3 a.m. And so going back, the biggest thing to scaling is product market fit. And so I think it's Steve Blank coined the term, where it's, and Mark Andreessen talks about it, where it's who your perfect customer is, and they love the product you're delivering. And what happens is you create it in one market, and you're like, oh, I got the template. I nailed it. I'm scaling, I'm growing. And you're like, oh, great. And Balthazar talked about this, where it's like, oh, let's just go put one person in London, and we'll use the same playbook, and then it totally fails. I can only imagine the scaling to 83 countries at one time. That team probably didn't sleep. And so you can run, all right, let's scale in Germany, let's scale in the UK, and let's understand what works and what doesn't. And it's easier to do that because your countries are closer. And so you can understand, okay, what is not part of our core product market fit and what is? What translates to other countries and what doesn't? Really important. And going back, the next 50 unicorns will be global companies. And the question is, where will they be headquartered, which is a question, but not the most important question. No groupthink. This is fun. So, in Silicon Valley, it's an echo chamber. We think everyone should have Google Glasses, I don't know. Why doesn't everyone have an iPhone? That's ludicrous, right? And once again, this experience of working with Booking.com, they are one of the most innovative companies. And it's execution innovation. For example, they cracked Google SEO and SEM early, and they did it amazingly well. And Oliver, he's an interesting cat. He's a great guy, one of the sharpest people I've ever come across. And so after all these 5:30 a.m. Monday morning calls, 9 months later, he was in San Francisco. And I was like, oh, this is our biggest customer. This is the best name. Hey, whatever you need, I'm available. And he was nice enough. He's like, why don't we go to a few meetings together? And we had this meeting, and not to be rude, but a little rude. It was right at the time Twitter was scaling, and it was hot. Twitter was, in Silicon Valley, talked about at every bar, which is a little sad, but it was hot. It was really, got to be part of Twitter, got to advertise on Twitter, got to be, part of Twitter. And we go to this meeting, and there's 10 Twitter people talking to Booking.com, which is one of the largest digital meeting spenders in the world, about all the advertising products Booking.com could use. And Oliver was super nice in the way only a Dutch man can. Not super expressive. And we had this great meeting. And he was very nice, said, let's keep in touch. And we come out of the meeting, and he goes, none of those products will help me. There's no groupthink. It's all original thought. And a lot of creating a unicorn company is being contrarian and right. Because if you're always going with the accepted answer, you might create a good company, but not a great company.